bidding, my master.
I have a task for you.
Do you want me to kill a Jedi?
No. You are much too weak and nowhere near cool enough for that.
An assassination? A politician, perhaps?
No. Your hideous appearance would blow any cover away in mere seconds.
Then what do you want me to do, sir?
In a few minutes, the Jedi Master, Steve Baxi, will be joining the two of us for a discussion. You will create an image of the three of us as we converse. In this image, you will depict yourself as a member of the Hutt clan.
But sir, I'm only half Hutt.
Silence! I am a Lord of the Sith, and you are my apprentice, and you shall do as I command. Is that understood?
Actually, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. Aren't you supposed to be teaching me, how to use the dark side of the Force? I mean, should I be able to levitate shit now?
What was that? Sorry, but I couldn't hear you over the sound of your enormous man-tits.
Oh, I said...
You shall do my bidding, apprentice. Now get to work drawing yourself as a Hutt.
Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
You're just enjoying it, aren't you? I suppose.
Called shout.
I suppose.
Alright, so we're ready to go.
Yes, God help us.
Okay, here we go. Greetings and salutations, all ye faithful Sith apprentices, or I don't know. This kind of got away from me.
Sith Lords, maybe?
Anyway, and apprentice Anyway, I am Sid Part 2. Joining me today is the Jedi Master Steve Baxi and the member of the Hutt clan, Milan Jeftik 1992.
Hello, everyone.
I am a Force ghost, so I will be very quiet.
No, you're supposed to be, unnervingly talking to us and saying very vague things that don't really help with the situation.
No.
I will give you advice that you thought you forgot about that will somehow always help you because it's just that ambiguous.
You are literally the Deus Ex Machina, aren't you? Yes, you are.
I am more powerful than you could ever imagine somehow, despite not interacting with anything in the human world.
Yeah, goddamn fucking hoodoo juju Jedi ghosts, fucking useless. But anyway.
So, I just want to apologize to our viewers who aren't Star Wars fans, but I've been on a Star Wars kick ever since we did the Geeky Gentleman episode talking about what we do with Star Wars Episode 7. You know, I watched through Clone Wars, so Superhero Enthusiast and I did a video on that, and in that we mentioned whether or not Force Unleashed could be in continuity now, and that made me want to play Force Unleashed, and I'm like, fuck it, we're just going to talk about Star Wars, and I'm probably going to do at least one more Star Wars video, a mini in the next few weeks, and then I promise I'll be done for a while.
Or at least until the next movie comes out.
Yeah,
at least until Episode 7 does come out, or something else of, particular interest.
Start with Rebels, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Is that happening?
That is officially happening. It's coming out this fall.
Oh, cool. Excellent.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Is it like a spin-off of Clone Wars?
It's not, but it's in canon, and it's a gap between Episode 4 and Episode 3, and Greg Weisman's in charge of it.
Isn't it like following the young life of Boba Fett or something?
No, not that I remember. It's actually around like a small group of rebels before the Rebel Alliance was formed.
Okay.
Yeah. That is is it the animated one or what?
It is. It's animated. There's a Darth Vader-esque character named
he's gonna be like an interrogator, isn't he?
Yeah, something like that. I forget what he's called, but he has a really cool design, and Billy D. Williams will be in it as Lando.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Awesome. All right.
Cool.
I will be very excited for that.
Cool.
Anyway.
I think it is like stuff with Boba Fett as a kid. I might be wrong.
Well, no, Boba Fett as a kid was in Clone Wars.
Anyway.
Was he a kid in Clone Wars? Oh, yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I think so.
There's like 3 or 4 episodes with him.
Yeah,
Anyway,
he was insane, I remember.
let's go ahead and get into what this video is actually going to be about. We're going to be talking about something that, depending on how Star Wars Rebels goes, may be canon still, maybe not. I don't know, because that was part of the big thing. Is this was supposed to be one of the first Star Wars games that actually fit in the canon and everything. It was played an important role. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the 2 Force Unleashed games.
Since the Force Unleashed games already talk about the forming of the Rebel Alliance, I don't think they're in canon anymore because of Rebels and how that's going to be the new origin of the Rebels.
Which is disappointing because I thought this was a really cool way to do it. We're mostly going to be talking about the story of these 2 games, but we will get into the gameplay a little bit. But one of the things I found most interesting about these stories, and I hate to go with my big grandiose observation right away, is I thought it was fascinating to show the opposite of what every other Jedi fears will happen. There's Anakin's obviously the most notable, but there's a lot of extended universe Star Wars stuff deals with a Jedi falling from grace and becoming a Sith. It's so interesting to focus on a Sith turning into a Jedi, And he does it for the same reasons that a Jedi usually turns into a Sith, which I think is very fascinating. So that's my big mega observation that's probably really obvious to everyone, and they didn't feel like it needed to be said, but I said it anyway.
No, I agree with you. That's what the novelty of those games were. It's hey, you get to play as a Sith, and he goes on a really nice, interesting character arc that eventually turns him into a Jedi. And he has a little bit of Mary Sue issues going on simply because he is just way too powerful. But that aside,
he's a video game character. What do you expect?
Yeah, but still, man, he takes out Sidious and Vader at the end. Really, Sidious and Vader.
Yeah.
One right after each other, not even preparing in between, no rest. He just takes them both out. Really.
Well, Sidious is a very easy boss, in all honesty. All he does is throw stuff at you.
Well, that's true. It's just it's just the idea of he's gonna take out the most terrifying Star Wars villain in Vader, and then immediately take out the most powerful villain in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get you there. It is a little weird, but I think the idea is that he's more powerful Force user than both of them.
Yeah, that's something I don't particularly care for, just because he's the main character, therefore he must be most powerful.
One second. Didn't Sidious fucking force choke a motherfucker through bajillions of space miles through a hologram? I don't understand. All these fucking super psychic motherfuckers, all you gotta do is fucking psychically take control of a small gland in a motherfucker's brain, make it vibrate or something, the motherfucker will go into a seizure and his head will explode. That's all you gotta do. I mean, I can do it. What the fuck? But these fucking Sith motherfuckers can't do anything right. Oh, I'm gonna throw a thing at a guy. Fuck you. Make his
that's
head
not
explode.
a very 1940s epic westerny, is it?
Well, not really, but it's practical.
But since when is Star Wars practical? It's not Star Trek.
Yeah.
That's true.
But I agree. It is a problem that he's able to take Vader and then Sidious down back to back, but I think it really is that he's just supposed to be this insanely powerful Force wielder that no one was expecting.
Yeah, I just that's something that I resisted with those games. Sure, he's trained by Vader, so he's gonna be good. I'm totally cool with that. It's just he's too powerful.
And I think part of it. I think one thing that helps with that is, I think on the Wii release of the first game, you could, they had what they called unleashed levels, where you could play as Luke or Vader, or in the iconic fight scenes from the original series, but you could do it quote unquote unleashed with the same kind of power set that Starkiller has.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that definitely helps the idea of it. It's just okay, he's this powerful, but the idea is that all Jedi and all Sith are of comparable levels of power, We just don't show it in the films because that much power would be a little bit ridiculous on screen, I guess, is the idea.
Yeah.
Or in this universe version, whatever, they're all this powerful, basically.
Well, the thing is with power and consistency in Star Wars. I mean, in the old, the original trilogy, if you look at a Star Wars, kind of lightsaber battle, it was kind of really, kind of practical in a way. It wasn't all flashy, bouncing around like fucking bouncy balls. It was like, I'm gonna defend, you're gonna try to hit, because these are fucking lasers. And we're gonna be as careful as we possibly can, 'cause I mean, if you think about it, you don't see fucking samurai waving that shit around. That's literally a gigantic razor blade that can cut your fucking nose off. You gotta be careful. There was some sort of, genuine, real-world application of, swordsmanship taken to those original movies. The prequels had everyone's jumping around, throwing shit, force lightning. It was awesome.
I don't give a fuck, man. The prequels fight scenes are so much better.
I'm not.
It's one of the few good things about those movies.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I thought that's one of the high points of the sequels. Look at that motherfucker do a thing. It's awesome. But, that's how the
you call those practical, but I just call those, like, really bad dance choreography.
Yes, that's how most realistic sword fights and fist fights kind of look, like really bad.
I don't agree with that. I think the problem with those prequel fights was that they were too obviously choreographed, and this doesn't have that problem, but at least in the originals, it was, like, nice, brief, more subdued fights.
See, I like I'm a fan of highly choreographed fighting because there's two ways that you can shoot a fight scene, and I think this is very important for everyone to know. There are two ways you can shoot a fight scene. You can either shoot it really or at a faraway distance or a medium distance, where you can clearly see both or all of the actors involved and everything they're doing. And you shoot a fight scene like that when your actors know how to fight. And there's the other way you can shoot a fight scene, which is really up close and with a shaky camera. And you shoot it like that to hide the fact that your actors do not know how to fight.
You're a fucking hack. Anyone who does that deserves to get just Jason Lee or yeah, I know. I'm just so sick of that. Let me rant, damn you.
No.
Why not?
I prefer super choreographed fight scenes. Even if you can tell it's choreographed, it's still more entertaining and more of a spectacle to watch than, really up-close stuff. And that's just how I feel about fight scenes. But let's get back into the game, unless Steve or Milan, you wanted to comment more on that.
I'm just gonna say that I don't like when you can tell it's super choreographed. Like I Winter Soldier up lately because I love that movie. But Winter Soldier had really, really choreographed fights, but it never took you out because there was never a point where you had to stop and say, well, they obviously are just waiting for instructions or they practice this. Mm-hmm. Whereas the prequels definitely have that, where they miss obvious attacks at people just because they want to make a really complicated fight scene.
I got you.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I'm like, yeah, let's make I like those sci-fi fights, with guys who really know how to fight, in kung fu action movies. Those fights look genuinely awesome. Whenever, white folk try to be cool and stuff on movies, it's just like, well, Russians can fight. But, when you Americans try to fight on the cinema, I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's because my brain works so fast, but I'm like, why are they moving so slowly? If we can get an Asian guy, he'll punch that agent's face 70 times before he could blink.
Yeah.
Or a Russian guy would just shoot him.
Let's go ahead and get back to the Force Unleashed. So, yeah, I guess I get the idea that he's too powerful, but I think the game and some of the, downloadable stuff they did. Because, I mean, in the second game, there's DLC where you can go do an alternate mission on Endor, in which Leia has fulfilled the prophecy and become the return of the Jedi, and she can fight. So I mean, it's up in the air about how well what the power set of all these.
And if I remember right, there's a level where you can fight Luke, and Luke's got the same power set. So it's all just like kind of open to
version kind of thing. It's just, that obviously the 70s films couldn't show kind of effects like this, and obviously the prequels didn't want to focus time on, interesting things.
They didn't have time to be good.
Yeah, anyway. No, so, like, I see where you're coming from, though. I think that's one of the problems with the first game, though, is that he has to go fight Palpatine. Don't get me wrong, anything with Palpatine, I'm just like, yes, Palpatine, because he's become my favorite Star Wars character at this point. Maybe that's just because I have a cosplay that I can do of him that's really easy. I don't know. But,
something, Rebel Alliance.
Palpatine just becomes like that's how Luke was able to defeat him. He just became this senile old man that's in charge of the galaxy.
Milan, rub my feet.
Machine that can blow up a fucking planet now. And he didn't expect him to actually be able to do it.
Milan, rub my feet. I demand it. Force lightning. Oh my god, my dad is fucking Serbian Sidious.
No, but like anything with Sidious, I can't complain about too much. But I do agree. I think it's a little awkward.
Yeah.
That you're able to defeat Vader and then go fight Sidious, and really, it's weird to have a double boss battle like that anyway. So I think that the ending would have been better if Sidious wasn't the one that you had to fight, or something different happened. And I think this is kind of another big criticism I have of both of the games, actually, but the first one a little bit more so. I really don't like that the alternate ending doesn't work at all in continuity for both games. I really wish they'd written the alternate ending of both games in such a way that it doesn't matter which one you choose, they're both still conceivably able to be in continuity. And in the first game, you kill Darth Vader, so that can't happen. And in the second game, you I guess you go on to, fucking kill Leia and Chewie and Han Solo, so, that's no good.
And you turn Luke to the dark side.
Oh shit, you do? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's weird, because he has yellow eyes and purple lightning and stuff.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
What's with the yellow eyes? I mean, is that kind of like a species thing?
No, it's just it's what happens when you let the dark side take over, because there's that shot in Revenge of the Sith where Anakin's eye goes yellow.
That explains my eyes. Huh. You get it? Because I'm evil and shit.
It's funny, like, I'm taking a history class, and the professor goes, "Now, what does an apprentice do?" I'm like, because we're talking about fucking, pre-industrial revolution shit. She goes, "What does an apprentice do?" And we go, "Give in to their hatred and strike down their master?" Everyone just stops and looks at me. It's like, what? That's what mine told me to do. And I was which is another thing that I guess is problematic, because I guess it's just become Sidious's go-to move, and that kind of bothers me. That whenever someone's about to kill him, he just goes, "Yes, give in to your hatred, strike me down." What's he gonna do if someone actually listened to him?
Well, see, they do that really dumb, contrived thing in both games, where you could just kill Vader and Sidious now, but you have to contrive it and make it so that if he kills it, it's gonna be bad for him, and he'll be the dark side and all that. When really, you can't kill him just because there are movies that have to happen afterwards. Like,
yeah,
if you have to make an excuse so certain things can happen, just don't put him in that situation.
Yeah, it's really, like, I like it more in the second game, because I like the ending of the second game quite a bit better. The correct ending, I guess. But in the first game, I really don't think Palpatine should have been there as much as I like him. Or he should have, left when he saw Vader was getting his ass handed to him.
Yeah,
I suppose so. But like we said before, he's a senile old man. He'll do whatever he wants.
Right. No, I think it would have worked better if Sidious had left instead of being there to fight him. But at the same time, you can't really complain that you get to fight Sidious, it's just fun to do, even if he's not a great boss battle. So I have this kind of love-hate relationship with it, because I really wish that Sidious hadn't been there from a story perspective, but at the same time, as a game, it's just too much fun. To be able to, fight the Emperor and be like, quit running like a bitch!
Yeah, that would be awesome, but, Sidious do what he wants. I just lost the accent. I don't know, man.
Do
it.
Do it. Yeah. No, he's very high. He's very shrill, and he enunciates everything.
Do it.
Joke.
Everything eventually turns into the Joker for me.
No. See, it's very short. It's very enunciated, but it's very shrill. So it's like yes, strike me down. So
yes, strike me down.
No. You don't.
Yes,
I was getting into it when I was doing. I was getting into it when I was doing the intro for this week, but I kind of you gotta kind of get into it. But anyway, let's get back to the game. So Milan, you haven't talked about the actual game at all yet, and it's making me wonder whether or not you watched the movie thingies.
I watched the movie things, and I gotta say, I'm like, yeah, the main character, I seriously forgot his name. I'm like,
Starkiller?
Stark?
It's a fucking badass name, though.
That is the most Mary Sue name ever in the history of
How?
Starkiller. I mean, that, actually, Starkiller.
What's wrong with Starkiller?
It's like I already said Skywalker was a badass name. Fucking Starkiller is so cool.
Oh, okay. In the context of ridiculous names in the Star Wars universe, I guess it's kind of badass. Yes, it's definitely badass. Starkiller is kind of the flipped version of Skywalker. I just want to name
Starkiller is what they were going to call Luke before.
Oh, that's badass.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, they were going to call him Anakin Starkiller, but then they changed it to Luke Skywalker.
I kind of like that more. Starkiller is a very good, bad character name.
Yeah, it's a really cool code name.
Definitely. It's like something that one of the Youngbloods would have,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Youngbloods. 90s comics reference. Anyway, I mean, it's just like, I like it. It's really good. And I'm sorry. It's just, I watched both of them, I'm like, it's kind of touching as well. What the hell's going on? Hey, Papa.
Don't worry about it. Keep going. Mike. Mute your fucking mic. Thank you. Anyway,
Sorry, my father is... He just literally, he was just standing there for like 5 minutes or so, looking at me. And I just kept looking at him like, why? Are you going to say something? He's like, no. He just stares
okay, anyway, what were you saying?
Fuck, I don't know. I forgot.
Okay, you were talking about Starkiller and the journey that he was going through. You were saying something was very touching about it.
Oh yes, the whole at the end fight scene with like kill or do this thing and your girlfriend will live, but other people will die, or vice versa. And I'm like,
oh, you're talking about episode or in the second one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Well,
I guess that's it.
So, do you guys prefer the first game or the second game?
Overall, I prefer the overall story of the first game.
Okay.
I prefer the gameplay of the second game, but I like the story in the second game too.
Okay, because I was gonna say I love the first game. I can't stand the second game's gameplay, but the story's okay.
All right. So let's talk a little bit more about the first game before we get too much into the second here. So how'd you like the way in which they introduce like the character though? The whole thing on Kashyyyk?
Yeah.
Am I saying it right? Okay. The whole thing with the Wookiee. For those that are curious.
I thought all that was awesome. It was really epic that Vader killed his dad and took him in. It feels really old school samurai. but in a really twisted way. And the fact that he grew up under Vader's thumb and he never succumbed to him, really. He whoever the voice actor for that guy is did a really good job of making his voice so that you always know that he's got something against Vader.
Well, like, it's interesting because that's the same guy that did Darth Maul in Clone Wars.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, I was reading up on this because he was talking about if there ever is going to be a third game, which after the ending of 2, there has to be.
But there won't be because of canon.
Oh, that sucks. But anyway, if there ever is going to be a third game, it'd be on, next-gen consoles and everything, but he has no control over it, but he'd be willing to come back, is what he was saying. But yeah, he is... I completely agree. He's great. From a graphics standpoint, I like the first level. It's really cool. From a graphics standpoint and from a gameplay standpoint, it's really weird. But the first game rather, does not hold up very well. Like, you can tell it's very early next gen or third gen or whatever it is systems.
Yeah, the first game has a lot of graphics issues, and it also has lots of loading screen issues, which is something you think that wouldn't be a problem, at least by 2008 when it came out. But there's a lot of menu loads. Like, it takes 5 minutes sometimes just to scroll through menus.
Yeah.
Well, not just that, but, like, even in the first game, first shot, alright? Or, not necessarily the exact first shot, but there's a very early shot in the opening cinematic where Darth Vader is walking down the, ramp onto the planet, right? And, you get that cool look of his cape and everything, but there's an aliasing issue where you can see this gray line that shouldn't be there, and there's collision issues with the cape where you can see the, leg going in and out of the cape or something. I'm like, guys, this is your opening cinematic. This is a problem.
There's also some bone issues, too, because when he chokes the general guy that goes up and talks to him, his arms move in unnatural ways.
Mm-hmm. And it's just, there's a lot of graphics issues, but the worst thing about the first game, and this is from a gameplay perspective only, the camera is awful. I had such a hard time controlling the third-person camera in that game.
Yeah, the camera
especially during fights.
Especially
during fights, because you get blasted across the screen. He has the longest recovery time of any character I've ever played. It'll take him 2 minutes to stand up, and then you got to spin the camera around and look for your target, and it takes forever.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That almost makes me glad that he's so overpowered, though, because when you're trying to recover and you can't get your camera to go, you can just shoot in all directions and you'll probably kill somebody.
Yeah, that's very helpful, and I think...
Although I don't think that should be the case, but it's there.
Yeah, it's one of those things, I think one of the biggest problems that the first game had is the way in which it was marketed. And this, goes away with time, obviously, but one thing I still remember, the very first trailer, if I'm not mistaken, that was released for this game, shows the damned Star Cruiser getting pulled out of the sky and crashing right in front of his feet, and then he turns on a lightsaber, and it's a red lightsaber. If I'm not mistaken, that was the very first trailer or whatever released for this game.
Oh, I remember that.
And that made it look so cool, and you do that in the game.
And it's so disappointing.
It is, and the thing is, with that trailer, it sets it up that that's the kind of stuff you're going to be doing the entire time. And that's very problematic. So, the marketing kind of takes the feet out from underneath this game.
Well, that's the weird thing about this game. Sorry, go ahead.
Lies usually do.
Well, that's the weird thing about this game, is that every time it sets up something really, really epic, it always ends really anticlimactically.
Example.
For one, the whole killing Palpatine thing, that's just contrived because you can't kill him. But then with the Star Cruiser thing, that whole mini-game thing you have to play to pull it down, it doesn't look good to begin with, and pulling it down isn't a satisfying experience either. And then you're doing things like you're fighting Jedi, and you're going through junk hills and stuff like that, and none of that feels as epic as it should, but they always, make it seem like it is.
Yeah.
They have explosions everywhere and stuff, but just the way the game is rendered and the stuff you have to do, how easy it is sometimes, it just loses you.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think is, interesting to note I'm curious. I want to ask Milan about this since Milan, you've never played this game, right?
Well, I know I only watched the movie thingamabob.
Okay, and that's what I want to ask you about. Did it feel very fast paced and very epic as Steve was talking about, without having to be the one that's playing it, with just being able to watch it kind of as a movie? Did it work?
It did drag in certain parts, but overall, I think it was a pretty fun experience. Took a fucking forever to watch through, but I enjoyed it rather a lot.
Because that's one of the things I was wondering about. Because I agree with a lot of what you're saying, Steve. That the thing that drives me crazy about pulling down the damn the Star Cruiser is you have to stop every 2 minutes and take care of a bunch of TIE fighters that it's impossible to grab.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of stuff like that they really cleaned up in the second game as far as gameplay goes. On the first level in Camino, you can grab a TIE fighter right out of the air, and it's so easy. And that's what it should have been like with the other level,
See, it's funny you say that, though, because the thing with the first game is that things that shouldn't be hard are way too hard, like the Star Cruiser, but in the second game, everything's way too easy.
Fair enough.
I beat the second game when I first bought it, and I don't know, when did the second game come out, 2010?
I think so.
Yeah, so I would have been 16, and I didn't play a lot of video games, so I bought the game and I beat it in 4 hours. That should not happen.
It was a really short game.
Well, not even that it was a short game. It was just too easy. I didn't die even once.
Yeah, no, it's a very short game. I mean, to your point, though, I beat the first game the day I bought it, too. But that took a little more effort.
It did. I don't think you could beat that first game on the hardest difficulty without dying a couple times, but the second one is just ridiculously simple.
One question, is it because it's overly easy, or because it was just so much fun that you couldn't help but sit through bajillions of hours of playtime?
Well, the second one is just too easy. I didn't even have fun with the second one because there was no challenge.
Oh, okay.
I get where you're coming from on that, though. I think the second one's gameplay, and like I said, we'll talk a little bit about gameplay, but we're mostly going to be covering stories, so I guess this is where we're just going to compare and contrast the gameplay. The second one's gameplay is just so much smoother that it does make things a lot easier, and that wouldn't be a problem if the game wasn't as short as it is.
Yeah.
If the game had a couple more levels, it would have been a lot better. I think one of the problems is a lot of the stuff that, once again, the marketing was kind of a letdown for this game, because one of the first trailers that came out for Force Unleashed 2, you hear Yoda and Darth Vader talking to you. And Yoda's in one cinematic, and he has 2 lines, and then you are immediately off Dagobah. And it's very disappointing.
And Yoda just doesn't have a lot to do with his character arc either.
Yeah, and it's so weird, because
I'm here for marketing, I am.
Pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's so, that would have been so perfect, because that's one of the things that's so interesting about this character, though, is, you've got this guy who is completely, he's been raised by the dark side, and he's still, for some reason drawn to becoming a Jedi. Even though he's a flawed Jedi, but he's still a Jedi nonetheless. And that's so fascinating, and Yoda should have been so interesting. Yoda's take on that should have been so interesting. And he's just there, he's no, you can go in there. I'm okay.
I think their reasoning for it was that Yoda's in exile, so he wouldn't care. But if that's the case, then why did he help Luke?
No, see, he knew he'd have to help Luke eventually.
Yeah, but but Starkiller is clearly more powerful than Luke. You should have just helped him.
Yeah, I agree with you entirely. And that's one of the problems with this game. I guess it's good that it's not in continuity because of that specific reason. Because, Yoda, you're totally wasting the opportunity to, overthrow the Emperor.
Yeah, that's the problem with Starkiller, is that despite him being a really good character, he's kind of a Mary Sue because he can do everything and anything. It's just the contrivances that you need in order to put it in canon hinder him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, the whole Mary Sue angle doesn't really bother me all that much. I'm just like, I like how the more you go down the dark path, the more you start looking like a goddamn robot.
A robot?
You know,
Why a
well, he gets all the metal legs and the face thing, you know.
He doesn't have... Does he have metal legs?
In the Ultra Gen, he does, yeah.
Oh, of the first one? Okay.
I think
Yeah,
he
that's
does
what
at
I
least, because he gets crushed by, like, the Rogue Shadow. So...
Yeah, I didn't watch the alternate ending for the first one. I just remember it vaguely from when I played for the alternate ending.
Well, from what I remember, he does have metal legs, he's got metal fingernails and everything.
Yeah, I remember that, and that's one of the things I'm like, why would Palpatine do that? He just fucking killed Darth Vader. This is, like, totally what he always tells everyone to do. Like, I feel like it'd be really annoying to hang out with Palpatine. To be like, kill my friend here, and then you can join me. Like, dude, stop telling people to murder me.
It's like, kill him, young Star Killer. Kill him. Oh, shit, you did it. Fuck. I never thought you would do that. I was just trolling you, son. This is awkward.
It's one of those things like you really should have run with that if you're gonna do an alternate continuity anyway. Like that's the thing is these games really do punish you for choosing the wrong thing. Like, it feels like, you know, they're just, you're not supposed to pick the dark side. You know you're not supposed to pick the dark side. Don't pick the dark side. Oh, you fucking pick the dark side? Well, fuck you. You get stabbed immediately in the back. It's like, well, that's not fair. Come on. It should be a more interesting ending than that. And the second game does a little bit better, but still. But in the first one, like, Palpatine... is always encouraging people to kill his apprentice. We should see where he goes with that. Like, what does he do after Darth Vader is killed? Like, he just makes him into an assassin? Really? It's not fascinating at all.
No, I mean,
Bothers me.
And there's that Sith rule of two. Like, when Palpatine finds out and follows him, I don't understand why Vader and Starkiller can't just defeat him, because they obviously could.
Well, you gotta remember that Vader clearly says that there's this whole plan that Palpatine set in motion by the end of the game, though.
Yeah, but, like, just as a narrative standpoint, because Vader doesn't like being with Palpatine, and this was a really easy out for him. I don't understand why he would just follow Palpatine's plan when he could really easily get rid of him. It's like trusting someone with a gun, and then the person doesn't shoot you even though they could.
Yeah, I get that, but at the same time...
Like, does the whole Palpatine, Darth Vader relationship have a darker edge? I mean, is it like, you know, does Palpatine go like, hey, Darth Vader, it's time for you to bend over now. Butt sex.
Okay, we're not going...
That's my... everything I ever say, obviously, eventually leads up to butt sex. I'm sorry.
Anyway. No, like, see, the thing is, it's really weird and kind of like a bad... You know, you can't really fault anything that has to work with the prequels. But in the way in which they frame the ending of Revenge of the Sith, apparently Palpatine has to keep up this really weird lie to keep Vader on his side. And so, with Anakin's character arc, and if you can call it that, by the end of the Sith, yes, he's plotting to overthrow the Emperor, but I guess he's planning to do it in such a way that people will make him the Emperor, as opposed to just do it to kill him. So, Palpatine's still, like, lying to him and like, yeah, we're protecting the galaxy and stuff. Let's build this machine that will destroy planets.
That is that is amazing. if you think about it, Darth Vader's badassery gets undermined by his sheer fucking, like, gullibility. You're building a fucking planet-destroying moon thingamabob. What's wrong with you, motherfucker? Do you really genuinely...
I bring peace to the galaxy with this machine that destroys planets.
That makes sense in my mind.
No, but, like, so, the idea of him betraying Palpatine with what we have from Episode 3 in such a way that, in the way in which he would have had to with Starkiller, doesn't work with his motivations, I guess. If you can call it that. Which, you know, it's a week out, but it's, to be fair, you try and write something that makes sense out of the prequels.
That's fair enough. I wonder if this game would just play better if the prequels didn't exist.
Well,
Yeah.
most things would be better if the prequels didn't exist, like life in general.
Fair enough.
I almost want to put a rim shot in there.
What?
It's what you fucking perv. Get your head out of the gutter. A rim shot is what you call the dun sound effect.
Oh, okay then. Ha.
Goddamn pedophile over here.
What? What the fuck does this have to do with fucking children? Okay, Star Wars, I get it.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite jokes from Epic Quest. And okay, just shameless plug, I guess, for something that's been out for 3 years. So there's this scene where this character comes to the door, and it's supposed to be like this guy that's representing the Catholic Church and trying to get people to join. And Bobby's got this whole thing about the Catholics are actually Jedi, and he's trying to convince the door-to-door Catholic about this fact. And he goes, well, I'm not understanding what you mean. Well, think about it. The Catholic Church have their whole thing with, altar boys. And the Jedi, they have their Padawans. And what's great about that scene is that Bobby didn't tell the other actor that's what he was going to say. So, we have this, blooper where he just, reacts to it naturally, and we actually play it at the end because it's just too much fun. He's just, he just busts out laughing because he wasn't expecting that at all. Anyway, back to Force Unleashed. No, so, We're kind of circling the drain around this whole thing with, oh yeah, Starkiller should have just fucking killed Palpatine. And yes, I agree with you, but he didn't. And I still think the game works overall as a complete story anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. The thing I was so hung up on Palpatine though was there's so many roads this game takes, and that Palpatine thing just fits into all of them. There were so many decisions that could have changed if he just killed Palpatine. His character arc would be so much better if he just killed Palpatine.
Yeah,
and Vader
but
would have been more interesting if he just killed Palpatine. The whole thing
everyone
with him killing all those Jedi and then coming back to Vader would have been better if he just killed Palpatine.
No, but here's the thing: everybody can't kill Palpatine, though. I'm just saying, there. Actually, no wait. In an expanded universe, there are a bunch of Palpatine clones.
Yeah, what is with that?
I don't know.
I've never read that.
Anyway.
You know what somebody thought? You know what? We need a grand, high, epic villain. But the biggest, epicest villain is dead, so let's just clone him and, throw him all around the universe. Let's get everyone the opportunity to be, the hero destroying the main bad guy.
Anyway, that's, after the Empire was destroyed and everything, they found, Palpatine's stash of clones that were just never, awakened in the proper amount of time. So they just set up, this fucking, park, this really morbid park, where everyone that was ever oppressed by the Empire just gets to come and just beat the living shit out of a Palpatine clone.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. God.
That's what happened, everyone. But unfortunately, it's not canon anymore. Thanks a lot, Jar Jar Abrams.
Jar Jar Abrams? That's harsh, dude.
I'm kidding. Anyway,
yeah,
that's what he will be called if Episode 7 sucks.
Yeah, it most likely will.
Nah, I doubt it. Like, it cannot
It's
possibly...
it's J.J. Abrams. It's gonna be adequate.
Yeah. Anyway,
And that's it.
no, I get where we're coming from on the Palpatine thing, but let's talk about his plan that involves Starkiller overall. Because I kind of like the sweet irony that Palpatine ends up creating the thing that destroys him in an attempt to make sure that nothing will ever destroy him. Like, I like that his scheming is what actually leads to his downfall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. I wish that they didn't spell that out, though, with the last line. Because he does very blatantly say that, hey, it would suck if my plan to save my empire does actually blow up in my face.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they spell it out, and that's unfortunate, but still, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a good plan, and Starkiller being the martyr for the Rebel Alliance is really cool.
Yeah, I like that. I just wish it wasn't like, oh, we'll just use his family symbol that he had no idea was his family symbol. That was really weird. That's his legacy. Is that oh, yeah, that dude.
Yeah,
like someone should talk about him occasionally or something. Or like maybe like in an alternate version in which this did exist before the original series did. Like, in the real world, if this came out before the original series somehow, in 1975 when we had our PlayStation 3s,
definitely.
It would have been interesting if someone had, like, talked to Luke and been like, you're nowhere near a Jedi. I was with the Jedi that founded this rebellion. You're nothing like him. You disgrace his memory. Like, something like that would have been fascinating.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. That's always the problem with Star Wars canon, though, because everything is hindsight, and they need to really stop rewriting the origins.
Yeah, I agree with you. Milan, you were about to say something?
I mean, the thing with canon, and especially Star Wars canon, it's like, the movies are awesome, well, at least the first ones are, and the prequels have their charms, but, it's weird, because people built, like, a certain group of people will build up a real genuine fandom around the continuity of the genuine expanded universe, and then something else will come along and put that particular, back history into null and void. And, those people will get pissed off, and then the new writers come in and rewrite the expanded universe, and that expanded universe will get a genuine fan base, and then something will come along and put that into, disrepute. And I'm like, this is just a never-ending cycle of fans getting hurt by Star Wars.
Well, I mean, that's with any extended continuity thing. I mean, how often have we heard, like, people complaining about reboots at DC or retcons at Marvel and everything? And that's always going to happen with this extended continuity stuff. It's, eventually you're going to have to re-establish or retcon things because, you got 600 people a year writing for this fucking thing. There's no way that they can all know what's going on in each other's stories. Not everybody's fucking Grant Morrison and reads every single issue of everything that's ever come out before writing their damn story.
That's why I love them.
Finding a way to make it all mesh.
Yeah. You know what we should do?
We should just let Grant Morrison write Star Wars.
We should let him like everything.
No, you know what we should do? We should just clone fucking Grant Morrison like, Palpatine did with himself, and just release him into the wild and tell him, like, you write everything from now on.
I'm kind of supportive of that, but as an aspiring writer, I am not okay with that.
Sorry, Ian, you're out of a job.
If he writes anything, I'm game.
No, definitely.
Grant Morrison just gets to write everything with an extended continuity. Grant Morrison writes Greek mythology.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Grant Morrison writes Egyptian mythology. That'd be amazing.
Oh, totally. Oh, you know what? It's awesome because, I love it when those, British invasion writers go back and rewrite fucking old-timey, classics like fucking Neil Gaiman did Beowulf. Like, they should just do that. Just have, like, Alan Moore rewrite, like, Greek mythology or just, like, the...
Yeah, he's just not allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you fucking Greek mythology. It's just a...
You know what?
What?
I say the most horrible things about Alan Moore. Like, I wish he was dead, but that we kept still getting his work somehow. And also, I wish Alan Moore would have the same thing happen to him that happened to Ebert. So he just couldn't talk. That'd be nice.
No, he just sits there with the camera on him, and he has a little pad, and he writes and says, like, Jeff Johns stole the Green Lantern idea from me. He's a shit writer. And he just, like, he scratches his out and writes, like, okay, Jeff Johns, give me your tears so I can consume them and shit. You know? Because that's how...
You should just do a video in which you voice Grant Morrison and Alan Moore arguing.
Oh, God, what's that? I gotta get into the character fucking good.
Okay, anyway. Alright, so, is there anything else about the first game that we want to mention? I'll take that as a no. Oh, wait, I just thought of one thing. I really liked the fight with Proxy. That was probably my favorite boss fight.
Oh, yeah, can we talk about Proxy and how cool a sci-fi concept he is?
Sure.
Because the fact that he has that prime directive of his to kill Starkiller, and he's so friendly about it, he doesn't even realize that his life's mission is to kill his best friend, and he's totally okay with that. And then he takes advantage of it and has them on that exploding planet getting ready to kill him, and he apologizes because he can't do it. Mm-hmm. Just all of that is really, really cool stuff. It's a really fun relationship that there are two best friends, and one of them is just born to kill the other.
Well, like, what's fascinating about that is you gotta realize he grew up with that robot trying to kill him every day, but they're still best friends because he had no one else.
Yeah.
And that's so fascinating about Starkiller's character.
You know what's weird? That kind of relationship sort of sounds like what me and Ian have.
Mm-hmm. Like, one of the other things, like, I think one of the things that makes Darth Maul an interesting potential character, if they were to ever do anything with his origin, is I imagine he would be a character very much like Starkiller, because the only thing I've read with Darth Maul's origin was that he was a child and Palpatine found him and realized that he was talented in the Force and, took him. So he raised him his whole life in the ways of the dark side, and it's such a weird relationship, and I'm wanting to do a video with Alex just talking about the rule of two and how the Sith work with each other. But you gotta think about it, a lot of these guys are probably raising these apprentices from childhood, just torturing them every day, abusing the shit out of them, and just telling them, you're gonna try to kill me now, huh? Well, I'll fucking torture you for it and stuff,
Yeah, that's what I found so fascinating about the Darth Vader-Starkiller relationship, though, is because it's the Sith's natural state to have an apprentice that will eventually overthrow the Master. And Darth Vader never got that in the original trilogy, so to incorporate that rule with Starkiller is a really fascinating idea. And that's why I keep circling back to why don't they just kill Palpatine, because that's the dynamic. And they never really address the weird imbalance in the Force they're creating by having Starkiller, who is a third Sith.
Well, no, that's the thing, is, like, I'm going to mention this real quick. Darth Maul was a third Sith.
Yeah.
There can be any number of Sith at a time, but there can only be one Lord of the Sith, and it's essentially his job to kill any rivals that he sees. So, like, anyone can be trained and use the Sith arts, but they can't become too powerful, or the Sith Lord will come and kill them. That's the idea of it.
Well,
kind of an alpha. Isn't that kind of like the alpha omega dog thing? Like, oh, I'm the head wolf. Don't try to take me out, or something like that.
Well, at least with the rule of two, the way like Darth Bane started it is that there will always be only two Sith. And there's the Master and the Apprentice. The Apprentice will kill the Master and then take on his own apprentice that will eventually kill him.
Yeah, I get that, but that's the thing, is like, often, Clone Wars did this twice, actually. Dooku was training Ventress to be to be his apprentice and help him overthrow Palpatine. But Palpatine just demanded that he kill her before she was ready. So, to keep his cover up, he killed her, and then he did it again with Savage, which ended up just betraying him. So, you had Darth Maul, Savage, Ventress, Dooku, and Palpatine all at the same time in the Clone Wars, which is the only thing that's still canon. So you had 5 Sith at the same time, but only one of them was incredibly powerful, and only one of them was an apprentice. But technically you can have as many Sith or people using the Sith ways as you want. It's just if any one of them rises to any level of considerable power, then the Lord of the Sith will take them out.
Well, see, that's the thing with the way the Rule of Two was instituted, though. There shouldn't be that many Sith running around, and the only reason they are in the Clone Wars is because, it's everyone's botched plans that causes it. Mm-hmm. But just, as a general rule of the way the Sith work is that, because Darth Bane killed all of the Sith because there can only be one Lord and a bunch of apprentices, but the problem with that is that they make everyone else weak.
Yeah, and that's why I said, you can have any amount, but it's always going to be a very low number because they'll, the Lord will take them the hell out.
Something about that just doesn't seem practical. I know, literally one of them took over the entire universe, but something just that doesn't seem right. I mean, how would, I don't, it's so hard to make a point when your point is already kind of, made null and void by the prequels,
Well, also on this, I was reading up on it because, like I said, I've suddenly become very fascinated with Palpatine.
I wonder why.
Darth Maul is technically a violation because he, like Ventress, was trained just as a Sith assassin. But Palpatine was secretly like, "No, you're my apprentice, and we're going to overthrow my master." And then, it'll just be you and I as the Rule of Two. And so, you can have that going on, and that's what's going on with the apprentice. And actually, here's a rewrite that I think would fix a lot of problems. What if Palpatine came in, and instead of Darth Vader killing him, Palpatine just kicked the living shit out of both of them? But kept Vader around anyway.
That would have been fine, yeah.
Your ass belongs to me.
Well, no, seriously, because that's the thing is, the way it works, I guess, is anytime your apprentice starts to think they have balls, you just kick the shit out of them and then tell them what to do. So, anytime they ever try to stand up to you, you just break them down into a million pieces and then make them do whatever you want. And then they'll eventually, they'll just keep trying to betray you over and over again, and that's just what you have to deal with so that you have a minion. Mm. And you have to realize that the Sith living on is more important than you staying in power till, the day you die.
See, that doesn't seem practical, but at the same time, that sounds something what you just described, Ian. It's like the philosophy of your commonplace leather daddy. Fucking hell.
But alright, let's. I'm pretty wrapped up on the first game, I think.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else I really want to talk about. Yeah, Proxy's a very interesting character, and I'm sad he isn't in more of the second game. Because he was just so much fun.
He was.
He really was. He was like the C-3PO of Starkiller's band, and he was significantly more fun than C-3PO, actually.
He was C-3PO and R2-D2 wrapped into one.
Mm. Yeah. Anyway, alright, so let's go ahead and move on to the second game. So we've talked about the gameplay a lot, and I think the second game's got a lot better gameplay. It's unfortunate how short it is, but I think that the story of the second game, because it's so much shorter, is much more just about the character as opposed to this, really interesting chapter in the universe.
The thing that undermines it, in my eyes, though, is that the whole clone thing. because it's really fascinating that he gets to go on this journey figuring out, like, does it ultimately matter if he's a clone or not, or is he a Jedi or is he really a Sith, and all of that. But though some of those questions would work better if we found out by the end that he really is just Starkiller and he wasn't cloned.
Well, they leave it kind of ambiguous, though.
Well, not with the alternate ending, though. Like, with the endings.
Well, not with the alternate ending, but doesn't matter anyway.
Well, I'm pretty sure, like, even in the regular ending, they do confirm that he is a clone.
No, he goes in and talks to Vader. He's like, maybe Coda's right, and you're just saying that I was a clone to mess with my head. So they leave it that that's still an option by the end of it. So it's entirely possible that he is the real Starkiller, or he's a clone, and I think that's kind of the inception moments of the story, I guess.
Wow.
Because, like, it is really, like, it is kind of the character arc. It's like, does it matter if he's a clone or not? And so you get to the end of it, and it's like, well, you decide. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but the character is the character, regardless.
Well, I almost distinctly remember a scene where we see Starkiller and Vader looking at the original Starkiller's body. And he says that he is a clone, and they do 100% find that out.
No, I don't. Like I said, I just played through the game, and you don't see that happen.
Alright, because I don't know, because I just watched the movie, and I'm pretty sure that, alright, well, whatever.
Like, if you can, like, link it to, like, I'll pause the recording if you want, and we can find it real quick, if you think you can. Like, that'd be toward the end, obviously.
No, well, that's okay. There's other stuff to say anyway.
No, just, like, I don't remember that scene. Milan, do you remember anything like that?
Nope.
Okay.
Alright.
Sorry, Steve.
Alright, well, that's fine.
No, like I said, I think they leave it really ambiguous, and I like that, because it's the character arc that matters, not whether or not he's actually the character, which I think is kind of a ballsy thing to do, because, like, you kill off your character in the first game, and then everyone's like, oh, they're making a sequel, it's not going to be the same guy, or it's going to be a clone or something, so it's not going to work the same way. And they go, no, he's just the exact same guy that Starkiller was, and we're not sure if that's because he is Starkiller and he actually survived, or if that's because he's a clone that has all these memories, or what. But it doesn't matter, because if he is Starkiller, then he's Starkiller, or if he is a clone, then there's that line, the feelings are real to me. And I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, and whether he's a clone or not.
One second. Doesn't the cloning process kind of violate the rule of two? I mean, if you've killed your apprentice or whatever, why would you bring him back? Isn't, like, the proper thing to do is go out and find a new one?
Well, the thing with the cloning process, though, is they never knew it was going to work in the first place. Like, he's the first Jedi clone.
Mm-hmm. Which was cool.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the idea that, they don't mention this, but with the expanded universe, knowing what little I do about it, even though it's irrelevant now, but since this kind of gets lumped in with that, I guess, you could kind of look at this whole thing with Starkiller as Palpatine doing a test run for himself. Which I think's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, just that, like, alright, let's see if it's possible to actually clone a Jedi. If I put the entire, a Force user rather, if I put the entire, what's the word I want? Like, production means, entire force of the galaxy behind, making it happen.
I also like that with the second game, we make Vader 100% an irredeemable evil guy. Mm-hmm. Because at the end, Vader says, as long as Juno's alive, he has control over him. Mm-hmm. And he's extremely sadistic about that. Like, there's no, like, he's still Skywalker in there somewhere, and there's no, like, kindling between those two guys. Vader is evil, and Starkiller wants to get rid of him.
Yeah, and I like that, too, because, like, as odd as it is, it's one of those things that I love the delivery that the guy voicing Vader gives, but it's one of those things where you can kind of see the connection, because that sounds like something that Christensen's Anakin would have said. like when he was toward the end there, when he was like really pissed off and everything. It's like, doesn't matter. I still have control of you. Like that last like desperate thing that he'd say to try to get under someone's skin. It really does sound like kind of a bridge between those two very different characters.
Yeah. It's kind of refreshing seeing Darth Vader with his balls back.
Yeah,
exactly.
It really is. One of the things that I don't like about the game, and it's a convention of the game. You want to talk about overpowered? Make a lightsaber work like a real goddamn lightsaber, and that would be overpowered. That's one of the biggest problems with the fights, with the lightsaber duels, is you go and you attack Darth Vader, and even if he's blocking 2/3 of the attacks, you've still got two lightsabers, and you're at least making some contact, and it just knocks him back a little bit. It's like, son of a bitch.
That's a laser. It should literally cut right through him.
Right? It's just one of those things, like, that's the one problem with a Star Wars game, is you cannot make a lightsaber behave like a lightsaber. And that's very disappointing. But, like, I don't like the way the fight scene with Vader works in either game, to be honest with you, because the first one, he's way too powerful, and it's almost impossible to kick his ass like you should be able to.
Or the cutscene makes it look like you're doing.
Yeah, and then the second game, it's just like he just keeps running away, and like, that's not Vader. That's not his style. Run away, make some other guys fight you, run away, and like that's a classic boss fight style, but that's not Vader's style, and that's problematic. Like, honestly, the Vader fight scene should have worked that the closer you get to him, the harder it gets to fight him. Like, your controls don't always work or something. Because that's what they were starting to do with the, when you first go to fight him.
And it should have been a little bit more close quarters.
Yeah.
Like, the environment was too open.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's just a little problematic. That's more of a gameplay thing, but just in general, like, that's one of the things that makes the fight scenes really difficult to get through, is, like, or the fights really difficult to get through is, when they're robots or whatever, or, like, aliens, okay, I guess, whatever. It's, single combat thing, but he's got a lightsaber. This shouldn't be that difficult. Just have him be really good at blocking. And make me use Force talent and environment to defeat him as opposed to the lightsabers.
Speaking of Force talent, I remember when these games were first coming out, they were making a really big deal about like how much you could do with the Force. And
you only got like 4 things.
Yeah, like that was ultimately pretty disappointing. Like the Force was just kind of gimmicky for cutscene type action scenes. But with the advertising, like, you can do everything with the Force. You can pull starships down, and you can destroy boxes and stuff. None of that really works.
With the Force, you can pull down shit and make shit float. Buy it, buy it, buy it.
That's kind of what the ads were.
Yeah.
Definitely the most useful power is the lightning, because you can use the combo I kept using was square, square, triangle, which would
with like the lightning saber.
Yeah, that was so useful.
Yeah, I always had an issue with that because it just made the whole thing way too easy. Like, if you just keep Force Lightning or use that lightning blade combo, there's no way to lose.
Yeah, and I agree. It's a problematic thing, but it's definitely the most powerful and most useful one. I'm like wondering, is Force Lightning a dark side specific power, or can anyone else use it? Or like, are there Jedi that use Force Lightning?
I know there's a expanded universe story where Luke uses it.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure if there's like a thing where only the dark side's allowed to use it.
I don't know. I guess, like, I can see the Jedi not using it on people because, that shit would fucking hurt. But, like, on objects and stuff. It was cool when you got to shoot the gun with the Force Lightning in the second game.
Yeah, that was cool.
Awesome as hell. Like, I like the second game because it's just the way in which they have you use the Force, like, when you crash the ship into Kamino, that was really cool. Like, it's utilized a lot better in the second game as a gameplay dynamic, though. As opposed to the first game where you really only get to use it for a big thing once.
Yeah.
And that's like, okay, whatever.
Did you guys find the second game had a few too many action scenes?
Yeah.
Because, like, if you sit down and just watch the cutscenes, then there's, like, a good 20 minutes of the game that's just the action and only 20 minutes of story.
Yeah, like, that giant monster fight, as fun as that was, and I love the little, like, fake out with the Rancor, because you're like, oh, it's a Rancor, okay, that won't be difficult, and then, like, holy fuck.
Yeah, that was fun to play, it was way too tedious watching it.
Yeah, I agree, and that's the problem with the video game, is, like, yeah, you can kind of watch them, and I was wondering how well that would play for you guys watching them, as opposed to me, actually playing it. But it was still interesting to see that, or to get that perspective, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Milan, you haven't talked in a while. Say something.
Blue Balooby.
Okay. Say something of interest and value to the conversation.
Well, like I said before, that whole, the whole idea of putting a Star Wars story / movie / narrative, taken from the perspective of the Sith. When we did that episode 7 video, I kind of brought up that whole idea of, hey, let's just make a movie kind of like the reverse of the original trilogy, have like a Sith master and apprentice kind of running away from the bad Republic and whatever, and just that's kind of interesting. But
yeah, I agree. It's an interesting thing, and they kind of do like not entirely, but they do at least some of that.
Yeah, but like you mentioned this
that's got too much of a Jedi in him.
Definitely. You mentioned this before, like. How fucked up would it be? Like being a Sith would suck. Sure, you get black and an awesome red lightsaber, but how fucking tedious would it have to be? Just oh, I have to fucking hate everything. I have to try to kill my master. He'll fucking abuse me horribly every day to get my anger powerful or whatever. And that's just tiring. Jedis are always like, hey.
We're just gonna chill here and float in a sitting position.
Yeah, but you can't have sex. Well, that's sex.
Well, apparently not. Apparently, since the order fell, Starkiller wouldn't exist if Jedi didn't have sex.
I think it's kind of
So apparently they just dropped that whole thing.
Apparently, I think it's kind of after the...
Doesn't Luke have a kid in Expanded Universe?
He does, it is.
Yeah,
I think,
he
does. I think, I think Luke kind of, he started up the Reformed Church of Jedis. It's oh, we can, have sex now. It's oh, thank God.
Oh, and this is interesting. The new Jedi Order, all that stuff after Luke restarted it, there's a bunch of people there that use Force Lightning. And Luke's descendant, Cad Skywalker, uses Force Lightning to heal people.
Interesting.
How could he use lightning to heal people?
I have no idea, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's I'm just gonna electrocute
Well, if a heart stopped, I guess, but otherwise. One of the things I wish they would have done and taken the opportunity to do in this game is more elemental powers. Because they talk all the time in Star Wars about the Force is this part of everything. I'm okay, well, if you can do lightning, why the fuck can't you do fire? Or,
Because they, Avatar: The Last Airbender already trademarked that.
Yeah, 70 years, or, 40 years ago, Avatar: The Last Airbender created the Star Wars franchise.
Essentially, yeah.
No, I've seen, not a statue, but, a figure of Mace Windu, and he's, controlling fire. I'm why wouldn't you take the opportunity to do that in this game? Or not necessarily just fire, but just manipulate things in different ways than we've seen in the movies.
Yeah, there's a lot of missed opportunity as far as mechanics go with these games. You've got the really obvious Force stuff of pushing people away and lightning, but you can't do anything creative with it. You pick someone up and you can throw them around, but there's no advantage to it. There's no strategy you can employ with Force. Force.
Well, actually, one of the things I really liked, to kind of contradict that a little bit, but your point still wins overall. But here's the exception that proves the rule, I guess. One of my favorite things to do is you can pick up a stormtrooper, hit him with Force Lightning, and then throw him, and then he explodes when he hits the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that. That's cool.
Yeah, you can make him a grenade.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's one of those little things, but yeah, that really is the exception that proves the rule, because that's about the only, different thing that you can do with the Force.
Well, yeah, like you can, like you said, blow up stormtroopers, you can pick up bombs and stuff, but there's no, like, variety. You can only just, like, get to a map and you look around for the objects you're allowed to grab and then just throw them, but there's no creativity to it.
Yeah, like, I really wish that you could, like, invert the map, kinda.
Or, yeah, like, maybe destroy bridges or build bridges to different areas and stuff like that.
Well, like, how cool would it have been if you walk into a room full of stormtroopers and they all look at you, and then you just, like, turn the spaceship upside down. And, like, they're all like, holy fuck, and, like, landing on their heads and shit.
It's kind of strange, though, because I feel like the Lego Star Wars games are a little bit more creative with the Force and building stuff than the mainstream serious Star Wars games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never played the Lego games.
Oh,
I actually have. They are hilarious. Like, they are fantastic. My little brother.
Great.
Yeah, like my little brother just we got him like a bootleg copy of Moscow once, and he just played the fuck out of them. And I tried to play some as well, and I did. And like when he caught me playing, it's like, motherfucker, that's mine, and then he beat me. And
everyone just beats Milan.
I'm just like everyone's whooping boy.
Yeah.
It's
all right. So back to like the story mode though, and less about the gameplay, because like I said, we're gonna try to focus more on the story here. One of the things I think that the second game has an advantage over the first is you are a Sith for all of 2 seconds, and then you are immediately on the path to being a Jedi, which I thought was a great like decision in the storytelling.
Yep.
Like, even in the way that they make you customize your lightsabers, even in the choices that they give you, you land on whatever planet it is that they're holding Coda, and you immediately find a lightsaber crystal, and you can change the color to, like, blue or something, but you can always go back to red, but red doesn't give you any upgrades, so you have to choose something besides red to be able to get the additional upgrades that you want as a gamer. But I just think it's a great thing, because then you don't even look like a Sith, no matter what.
Yeah, it's kind of subtle.
Yeah.
Just little things like that. But it just overall I loved in the story, and I think a problem, not necessarily a problem, but I think kind of an issue with the first game is it would have helped if it were longer, because you go from being a Sith, like full on Sith. You have Darth Vader sort of betray you, but he's like, no, I planned it and everything so that you could, continue to do missions and stuff. And then you're kind of slowly become a Jedi, which was interesting. But it would have helped if there was more time in that. I thought it was weird that, you get the Rebel Alliance together and immediately you're betrayed again. That was a problem with the first game. Second game, you're immediately on the path to being a Jedi. I love that. That's brilliant to me.
Yeah, I agree. Starkiller has a really nice defined character arc. Like, there's no tugging around between the light side and the dark side. Like, it feels a lot like the original trilogy, where they're not trying to give you too much drama. It's one character's arc, and it's a journey from good to bad, as opposed to a journey from nothing to good.
Mm-hmm. Or you mean bad to good?
No, I mean like Luke Skywalker was like he was nothing and then he became.
No, you said good to bad when you're referring to Starkiller.
Oh,
I think.
Well, yeah, bad to good, whatever.
Yeah, I really like that. That's such a novel idea, because I don't think I've ever, like, to be fair, I haven't read much. I haven't read any Expanded Universe. I've only read about Expanded Universe, but I don't think I've ever heard of anything where they took a Sith and turned him into a Jedi.
There's Star Wars Legacy stuff where Luke Skywalker's descendant becomes a Sith for a little while and then goes back to being a Jedi, but yeah, it's not the same.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things, like, just that overwhelming goodness kind of thing, just, like, it's in his blood to be a Jedi kind of thing that I liked.
Yeah. I like that he saw his dad's ghost so sparingly, too.
Mm-hmm. See, they're not really consistent with the whole Force Ghost thing, which is a problem.
That's just like a Star Wars universe thing, though, right? Like, Force Ghosts are so ridiculous.
Well, like, here's the thing. Palpatine has that line at the end of the first game where he's like, now he's more powerful than ever. I'm like, wait, Palpatine knows you can become a Force Ghost? Oh, shit. But he's like, no, now he'll be a symbol. I'm like, oh, okay, they backed off of that really quickly. Like, Palpatine as a Force Ghost is the worst thing ever. Imagine it, you're just fucking sitting there brushing your teeth, and then he just appears, he's like, yes! Strike down your plaque! Use your anger! It's just, he'd be like the worst Force Ghost of all time.
Oh, he would.
You know what he would be? He'd be just he'd just be that annoying guy who keeps yelling at you from the distance. Like, hey!
So your father?
Stop equating evil movie supervillains to my father, goddammit!
That's not a thing that friends should usually have to say to each other.
I suppose not, but you forced my hand, good sir.
Anyway. No, I like that they didn't use the dad too much, and I guess it's kind of ambiguous as to whether or not he's a Force Ghost or just a vision. So, you know.
But it's nice to leave stuff like that a little bit more ambiguous anyway. Like, it's not his dad's blood in him that makes him a good guy. He's got character traits in him that force him to go from a Sith to a Jedi. And he starts caring about people, and he started growing attachments, and that's what's propelling him, and it's not all of his dad.
Yeah. And you mentioned the thing about, they should have just killed the Emperor right there when they were together. And it would have been such a less interesting character arc, though, if there wasn't the whole betrayal by Vader yet still serving him.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's just like, to get to that place, you had to contrive a reason why he didn't kill the Emperor.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the problem when you're making, like, prequels or in-between-quels with stuff like this, like between Revenge of the Sith and between New Hope, where certain things have to happen, but you can't tell your story without certain compromises.
And, like, that's the thing, is I really think Palpatine, like, if you did a slightly alternate thing where Palpatine shows up and, like, Starkiller immediately goes to fight him and then just gets his ass handed to him, and Vader kind of, like, begrudgingly kills him in order to, fake kills him, in order to prove himself to Palpatine, that would have been significantly better than what they did.
Yeah, and I don't know why we're afraid of just doing, like, non-canon Star Wars games. Like, every time you have these alternate endings in these games, it's the most exaggerated ending you could possibly have with those characters, instead of something simple.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you remember the Episode 3 game, the alternate ending to that was, Anakin kills Obi-Wan, then he just kills the Emperor right then and there and takes over the galaxy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then here it's, the Rogue Shadow destroys him, and he becomes, a metal monster, and in the second game, a clone of his kills him. Like, why couldn't you just do simple things, instead of making it the most exaggerating ending ever, that no sequel could possibly ever follow?
Which, I cannot stand the, Go ahead, Milan. I'll make my point next.
I think it's just how most your decisions mean something. Video games work, because if you try anything too subtle, it'll just like, oh, nothing changed. What the hell? I think they're trying to appeal to the largest audience they possibly could. So literary subtleties is a no-no.
Well, my counter to that would be Mass Effect, because that's nothing but subtle choices and stuff, and people love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, here's my problem with the ending. Like, I mentioned that I don't like the alternate endings in both games don't work at all with, like, or aren't satisfying in and of themselves, and couldn't be canon, back when these were canon. But, like, the second game bothers me so much more, because it's inconsistent with the ending that you're supposed to have. That's a real problem to me. Because the alternate ending, for those that don't know for whatever reason, another clone of Starkiller kills you. If you choose to kill Darth Vader, another clone of Starkiller kills you before you get the chance, kills Coda and the rebels, and then you get to play as him in the downloadable content. Alright? And that's interesting, but what doesn't work is if you don't kill Vader, nothing even kind of like that happens. It's like, so what should have happened is if you chose not to kill Vader, then you sense that he's there, and then you get another boss fight where you fight yourself. That's what made those two things consistent. But no, you choose not to kill Vader, and then the game just wraps up, and there's nothing that mentions that at all. And that's a problem.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, when he makes his nice choice of not killing Vader, why doesn't Palpatine still smash his head with the Rogue Shadow? Like, why is that an exclusive trait to the alternate ending?
Oh, no, well, because Palpatine wouldn't have had time.
Well, no, I mean, he still would have, like, wouldn't he? Even if because he's still standing there talking to Vader, Palpatine could have just knocked the Rogue Shadow on top of him.
Wait, what? At what point are you talking about?
The alternate ending to the first game?
Well, no. What happens is you kick Vader's ass, and then you, like, kick him through the door, and he falls down to a little area, and you can choose to either run forward and go fight Palpatine like you're supposed to, or let hate control you and go down and fight Vader. So Palpatine doesn't have time because he's assuming that Vader's taking care of it, and Vader didn't.
Well, I mean, all I'm saying is, like, if you're Palpatine in that fight, trying to fend off Starkiller, why wouldn't your instinct say grab the Rogue Shadow and smash him?
I guess he just didn't have it yet, because I guess the idea is that he's only able to get the Rogue Shadow because it was trying to go pick up the rebels while you were fighting Vader, and so you wait, since you were, like, doing the selfish thing and fighting Vader for your own purposes, Palpatine was able to kill the friends and get the Rogue Shadow.
Okay, well, fair enough.
It's just the thing is, like, I really wish it's a weak thing, and it's a weird thing to have a problem with because, you know, it's an alternate ending that's just there for fun. But I really wish that the alternate endings made more sense with the game overall.
Yeah.
And I still find the alternate ending of the second one dissatisfying regardless of it not lining up with the original ending, because you chose the dark side, so you should still play as the character that chose the dark side, not an alternate version of yourself that has always been part of the dark side. That doesn't work. It's very dissatisfying in that way.
And I think you probably should have had more choices in the game leading up to that anyway. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're going to have a choose your fate at the end, light side or dark side, then it would have been nice to have a bunch of moments where you could pick between light side and dark side instead of just a couple.
Yeah, and it really looked like that's what they were planning to do when they were building up the game. Like, I remember there's that whole thing, like, of Yoda and Darth Vader talking to you, and they're like, you must choose and stuff like that.
Yeah, like, especially...
It really seemed like it was going to be kind of like a Fable thing.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with the second one, when you're debating whether or not to be a clone. Like, that's the time to have mental conflict and have a bunch of options pop up on the screen. They don't take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, I think this game got cut short, though. Because it really does seem rushed towards the end.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if it got cut short production-wise or something.
The second one really feels like it should have just been DLC for the first game.
I don't know about that, but...
Well, I mean, just in the way that how short the story is, right? Like, it's 20 minutes of fighting and 20 minutes of cutscenes.
I disagree with that. I think that's a little too harsh.
No, I mean, like, if you count the cutscenes, there is only 20 minutes of story.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, like, if you were only filming 20 minutes of story, why don't you just make it DLC for the first game?
I don't know, because they completely changed the game dynamics and made the gameplay significantly better, if admittedly too easy.
Well, see, I don't agree with that, though. I think they made the gameplay worse, but because it's too easy.
Well, no, I'm just talking about the camera dynamics, the flow of the character, the like moment-to-moment gameplay. Because, you know, you could play it on hard, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I just like that gameplay of the second one better. But I will agree, it is a little too easy until the giant robots that shoot carbonite start showing up.
Carbonite. Is that a real thing?
I don't know. I'm assuming no, though.
Oh,
Most things in science fiction properties are not real.
that sucks. That should not be.
Okay. Anyway, is there anything else you guys wanted to bring up about these games?
Nope.
No, not really.
Okay, I'm all spent on this too. It was a really good discussion, though. I had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah, it was fun.
Milan was uncharacteristically quiet.
Yeah, I gotta make up for that. Penis, 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 penis. Penis, ass, anal sex, gay stuff, and etc.
Okay, anyway. So let's go ahead and do a score here. I will give Star Wars The Force Unleashed 1 and 2 taken as like an entire piece. Let's do it this way. 4 Sith holocrons that I miss in the second game so much, because they were so much fun to be able to have unlimited energy and shit.
Steve, you want to go next, or should I?
You go ahead.
I give these two movies, I watched them as movies, 4.5 polite assassin murder robots out of 5.
Okay, so I guess on a scale of 5, I give both of these games 3.5 really fancy Starkiller outfits that I wish I owned out of 5. He's got some really good clothes, by the way.
Oh, I loved all the costumes. That was really cool.
In the second one, he's got like that leather jacket that's open with a tilt. It's so cool.
I just wish that they'd spent less time designing costumes and more time working on their fucking collisions, but okay.
Oh, shit, son!
Still good costumes. The art department was really on their game.
Yeah, alright. Steve is joining us next week, and what are we going to be talking about?
Alright, next time we're going to be talking about social commentary in entertainment. How much is too much? How little does it need? Is it important or not? And is it really entertainment's place to give that kind of commentary about society?
Awesome. So we will be discussing social commentary, which is something that we discuss constantly anyway. So
yeah, it's nice to have one video about it.
Yeah. Until next time, everyone, I'm the Philosopher.
I am the Madman.
And I am the Spirit of Vengeance.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing